See, when someone has emotionally moved on, but keep access, it's rarely about love. And some people might say, well, I just love you. I never want to lose you. And, I want to I want to crush that just starting off. It don't have anything to do with love. If they loved you unconditionally, they wouldn't have to move on from you. Whatever the situation was and whatever the situation is, we have life, we have things that just don't fly. You have certain situations. You have people who've messed up. You got some men you've really messed up. And she never wanted you. You've probably embarrassed this woman. You probably did this. Whatever the situation is, I just want to start off right now letting you know when somebody emotionally move on from you, but keep access to you, it's rarely about love. Okay? It's rarely about love. And I guarantee you know where I'm going with this. It's about comfort. It's not about love. It's about comfort. They're trying to keep you close because you comfort them in some capacity. They got used to a pattern. They got used to your presence. They got used to you. Familiar access, it feels safer than full detachment. Did you just hear what I just said? Familiar access, it feels safer than a full detachment. And I know people right now that have not been through a real full detachment and they have remarried. It's a lot of stories out here. It's a lot of crazy things out here. It's key. And I'm talking about this because some of us, we have this question in our head and we be like, why do this person still want access? What is it about me that they can't let go? What is it about me of why they want to keep me around? And so I'm asking you this question as you're coming onto this live tonight. I want you to comment while I'm talking, because somebody may read your comment and be like, ooh, you cooking in them comments. This is a therapy session. I wanted to really tune in on the fact of what it really means to, have a familiar access, what that really means. Because I don't think some people miss that simple understanding. See, familiar access, it really feels safer. It feels safer than a detachment. It does. Some people, they would rather keep having limited access to you because you're somebody that they know than just letting you go because they're afraid to face the unknown, even if it hurts. See, because the known pain, it just feels safer than the unknown future. It does. It feels safer. And the first thing that I want to really break down in the understanding when it comes to this familiarity, right? See, the brain, it prefers, right, pain over unfamiliar peace. You want to know why people go right back to abusive relationships? This is part of the reason. This is part of the reason. Because of this feeling that I'm telling you about. People don't want to let all the way go. See, your brain is wired for survival, not happiness. God wired us for survival. And familiar access, it has a predictable outcome. If somebody have failed you already, they'll fail you again. It's familiar. But them not being around is that's full uncertainty. Don't nobody know it. So then the brain begins to ask, what happens if I let go of this person? What if I never find this type of person again? What if I regret it? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to break down why a person would rather deal with a familiar person than to fully detach. Now, you ain't human if you went through a breakup and you ain't never asked yourself, what happens if I let this thing fully go? You couldn't tell me that, like, I'm serious. I'm being so serious right now. You couldn't tell me that you have never asked yourself, like, man, what if I never find this type of person, man, that touch me like this? What if I never find the type of person that, do this for me? What if I regret making the decisions? So this type of person, I'd rather just still keep them around. So instead of full closure, people choose to text every now and then. Instead of fully detaching, you say, you know what? I'm just going to watch you on social media. I'm just going to check in sometimes. I'm going to keep your number saved. And I even leave my door crack. And it's not because it's healthy. Nope. It's because it feels safer than emptiness. The unknown is a scary thing. See, things that are familiar, and you keep access to those things, it reduces what you call a withdrawal. Okay. You ever know why people say, don't get on certain things because you would really be addicted to it and it would be crazy to get you off of that? Have you ever heard that type of conversation? Don't do that type of, don't do that. Cause you get on that, girl, you ain't coming back. Somebody got on that that they ain't got back because that familiar access, that feeling that they get, right? That feeling that they get, they just can't shake it. But this is what happens when you are trying to separate from somebody. They want to keep you around because it reduces the withdrawal. Withdrawal don't feel good. Detachment, it feels like withdrawal. It hurts, man. I don't know nobody who's been through a breakup who say, oh, it's good. I feel great. I don't have a problem. I feel great. It was easy for me. If somebody is telling you that a detachment was super easy for them, they never loved you at all. They never was loyal to you at all, because when you are trying to get rid of that withdrawal, it hurts. It drives you crazy. See, the brain, it processes romantic attachment similarly to addiction. Oh, you don't believe me, right? Well, why do you go through a breakup and go look at your old pictures? Why do you go and you break up and then you go look at your old intimate stuff? What you doing that for? You trying to fix some dopamine in your brain. Because when someone leaves, your dopamine drops, your emotional routine disappears, your identity shifts, your daily habits begin to change. And see, when you give familiar access, it's like giving somebody micro doses of relief. It's like that little text, that little like, that little late night call. It just makes you feel better, than a full loss. Yeah, I know. I'm just breaking it down to you because before we get really into this thing tonight, you have to understand what it means to be familiar. They say that most women who break up, they go back to somebody familiar that was from their past. They stay away from new people a lot of times. Why do they do that? Because familiar has a real deal stronghold to it. But I want to stay on topic and I want to talk about what we're talking about today, because in this situation, this is something that we have to talk about. We literally have to talk about this Somebody says not women, but men too. Absolutely. This is not just about women tonight. Oh no, this is a collective conversation. This is definitely a collective conversation on what we're talking about tonight. And I don't want nobody to get behind. I don't want you to get lost. And everybody that's coming in, welcome. If this is your first time here, we're just talking about people that literally, they want to break up with you. They want to leave you. They want to emotionally check out, but they still want you around. Why is that? Why is that? So that's what we're talking about tonight. So I don't want you to get lost. I don't want you to get lost. I want you to know what we're talking about tonight. And right now we're talking about, they do this because that keeping you around, that familiarity, it feels good. It preserves a little hope. It makes your dopamine levels go to another level. All right. See, full detachment, it forces acceptance, and acceptance hurt when you just have to, you just got to accept the truth. And most men are just like this. Like, they don't want to lose you all the way. Because when they lose you all the way, the truth come in their mind like, bruh, she really not mine no more. I can't control her. I can't tell her what to do no more. But when she give him a little inch, that brother running a mile just to try to keep you around. See, keeping access, it allows the mind to think like, maybe later. Maybe they'll change. Maybe this ain't over. Hope can be comforting. But this can also keep people stuck. And this is why a lot of men have a problem with women who have children and they're really close with the baby father. This is what they be afraid of. See, they might not tell you the truth. They may not tell you the truth, but a lot of men, this is what they be afraid of, because in the back of their mind, they always feel that it's a place for that father in your life in some capacity. And so some of them who haven't been taught on, when you have fully detached and you have fully let go. So some men will be reserved because they may feel like you haven't fully let go of your past. Which I know which is another topic, is hard to do. It's hard to do in a lot of cases. But we're not going to talk about that tonight. But, when you give somebody that familiar access, it protects, like an identity. Sometimes it's not even about the person. It's about who you was with them. So letting go, it means that, man, I got to let go of the version that loved them. I got to let go of that future that I imagine. I got to let go of the identity tied to the relationship. But some people keep partial access to avoid grieving that version of themselves. You understand what I'm saying? They be like, man, I don't want to change my identity. I don't want to change my identity. I want to keep them as close as possible. See, familiar access, it avoids the void. Because full detachment, it creates silence. Somebody say, full detachment. What does that mean? No text, no updates, no emotional contact. That silence, it could really feel like rejection and emptiness and loneliness and ego bruising. But familiar access, it keeps something alive, even if it's unhealthy. And I know married couples that have divorced. And I'm being honest. Like, throughout my family, I've known some people who have divorced and still have real relationships with their ex, and they remarry, even if it's unhealthy. Now, some of them conversations, some of them situations, I just don't understand sometimes. But I want to tell you why, another reason why familiarity, it just feels safer, even when it's not. Because full detachment, it requires grief. Do you know what that means? It requires real grief. You're sad, yo. I gotta let this person go. Don't let a woman be with a man for so many years, and even if she check out, if she really had love for this man, if she really had loyalty at some part in this man's life, when something happens, that is a grief. A breakup is a grief. It's not easy. That's why I don't like when people are so insensitive on breakups. They're so insensitive on divorce. You just got a divorce. That ain't nothing. Boy, do you know how hard divorce is? It's a real grief. Like, that woman is toe up every day. She's the most emotional one. Well, should be. That man is grieving like, bro, we once had something and we was blah, blah, blah. Especially a woman who tied her identity to this man. A woman who don't know herself outside of this man. You better believe there's going to be a level of grief when that full detachment happens, man. So, and then the next thing you got acceptance. And then you got emotional maturity. And then the last part about a full detachment is letting go of the control. You understand? So why I feel safer when you don't fully do that is, ambiguity, it just feels a lot easier. A little compromise feels a lot easier. See, familiar, and you're going to keep that door open, it's like, okay, I'm just occasionally, I don't feel good sometimes. I have partial boundaries. I'm emotional, but hey, we can get over some things. Again, those of you that are coming into my live, I definitely will love some likes if you are enjoying this. I also want you to share this. Right now, this is a therapy session, and we are talking about why people want to keep you around, but they emotionally checked out. They emotionally don't want you, but they want to keep you around. And right now, I'm explaining that familiar is like a drug. Keeping somebody around is every time you give them access, it's like another hit. It's another bump. It's another drink. Yeah. And don't let them take, it's another taste. This is real life. But I want to tell you that familiar access, it comes with a real hidden cost. It costs. Now, whether you want to pay this, whether you have enough to pay for this, but giving that familiar access and not cutting that person off, it's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you something. I don't want to be that person tonight, but I want to tell you the truth. It's going to cost you something. Number one is it's going to cost that wound to stay open. That hurt, it's going to always be fresh. Now I understand when a lot of men tell me that, in calls, they be like, I've been hurting for years. I've been hurting I had a guy tell me he got a divorce over 20 years ago. And up until like 5 years ago, he had fully let go. And from his conversation, it just lets me know that it cost him something. Because he was still familiar. He was still, she checked out on him. and she chose her boss. He was a good man, strong man, alpha male, tall, had a lot of money. He thought that it could never happen to him. And she fell in love with her boss. And she was willing to lose it all because of her lustful situation with the boss at work. It's the truth. She broke this man down, almost threw his life away. He tried to go up there and do some damage, and a whole bunch of things happened. But after this, he still wanted to keep her close. But it came with a cost. I tell people, look, you gotta be willing to pay it if you're gonna still mess around like that. You gotta be willing to pay the cost. See, you can't fully heal from something that you're still emotionally plugged into. I understand it now. I really get it now. I do. I may accept some calls at the end of this. I see somebody wants to join my live. I may accept some calls at the end of this live, but I finally get it now. I do. Some people, they have this crazy love for a person, and they don't care how much it hurt. They just want to still be a part of their life. But like I'm telling you, there's some hidden cost. It's some hidden cost. Number one, it's going to cost you false hope. Thinking that y'all could really get along and do this and do this. And he thought that keeping that door open with his ex-wife, he thought, he was going to be able to get somewhere. No, he had a lot of false hope. He had a lot of missed signals. He even wanted to forgive her. But I always tell a brother, look, you just got to, be safe with that. You're a king at the end of the day. But one of the most things that you pay is you pay with your time, because you got to understand, as long as that womb is open, you're delaying your growth. What if in your life, in order for you to get to the next level, you have to heal? God have to rebuild you and take you to the next level. But if you are a person who is having a delayed growth, and this man told me out his mouth that he didn't really go to the next level until he fully closed that chapter. I'm like, dang, bro, after 15 years of being married, you old man now. Yeah. Another thing it costs you is emotional confusion. Some of you right now, you should have been grown and went to the next level, but you ain't been able to grow because you keeping something around that is poisoning you. You are keeping something around that is literally delaying your growth. You know you can be better. You know you can do better. But you're trying to keep something around. I'm telling you right now, there's a hidden cost. If you want to be a boss, you got to pay the I'm just letting you know it's not as easy as you think. It's not as easy. And I'm trying to explain this the best way I can. Like, these people, they emotionally checked out, but they only keep you around because you're familiar. You're like a drug. It's like they're addicted to you. They harm, to do this, you're harming yourself. It feels safer. All you're doing is delaying your promise. All you're doing is delaying a lot of things that God wants to build in you. Sometimes when you are in a person's presence, their spirit just offsets your spirit. I'm sorry. Especially if you're not spiritually strong. You will start believing that, oh, this person have your back now because it's familiar. Whole time they done failed you so many years and you still believe in it. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, I know it feels it feels safer. But it slows your transformation. It's like the pain that have came into your life, this next level where you know it's over, you know you have to transform into something else. But sometimes it's just too hard. It's like, man, I can't do it. I don't care how much it hurt. I don't care how bad it feels. I just can't do it. Well, I'm telling you, it's going to come with some hidden cost. See, humans, we don't fear pain as much as we fear the unknown. I told a story about, just imagine a lion being in a zoo. Just imagine that zoo get torn down by weather and bad storm come through. He gets out, the wind hits his mane. He afraid. He like, man, what's going on around here? Afraid to go anywhere because he've never been outside of his habitat. And you've never tasted freedom. Or you've never tasted life without that person. So you don't know what to do. So yeah. Familiar access it really just equals a emotional comfort zone. And it's crazy because a lot of people don't care. I just want to let you know that I understand why you don't care, and I understand why you allowed them. Somebody asked me last night on the live, they said, Mark, how could I fully detach from somebody? She was talking about how could she do that. And I'm like, hey, you got to cut them off. But tonight, I'm like, you know what? I want to talk about this because cutting somebody off is not as easy as so many people want it to be. It's not. And I'm talking about the reasons of why tonight. So, how do you feel? How do you feel right now? Am I saying anything that is making any sense? I just wanted to, before I go to the next thing, I just wanted to, because I have people sometimes that they feel like familiarity is not a big thing. But I wanted to just define, first off, I wanted to define it. That's the first thing I wanted to do, so you can know. One of the main reasons is you're familiar. And you're safe. Now, in part 2, I want to talk about this control and this ego. See, sometimes people don't want you. No, they don't. They just don't want to lose control over you. If you know what I mean and you agree with that, I want you to drop a 100. I want to see a 100 on my screen. People don't want you, but they just don't want to lose the control. If you believe that, drop me some 100s, give me some likes. And I also want you to share this live because we are in a full therapy session and we are talking about right now, we are talking about why people emotionally check out from you, but still want to keep you around. So we talked about that first thing, that familiarity. You just keep giving them the little, you keep giving them the attention. I know for a lot of people it's hard because you have children. I know. Everybody have their own situations. But just know that access is going to cost you. But I want to talk about number 2, the control and the ego. They don't want you though. They just want to control you like a little like a little pet, like a little slave, right? In reality, that's what it be like sometimes. There's a lot of narcissistic men who they don't want you. They don't want to help you. They just want to control you. They want to tell you what you gonna do, where you gonna go, who you gonna talk to. But they don't want you. All I gotta say is that access, it really keeps influence alive. It does. How do you feel about that? Somebody says 100, 100, 100. I really want to talk about this control and this ego because it's a big thing that everybody deals with. It's a real issue. And it's not just about arrogance. It's about protection. So a lot of people think, oh, this person is just prideful. I see people giving, thank you so much for pouring into me as I pour into you. I appreciate you. It allows me to do what I do. So thank you. I call out some names. Tina Rose, I appreciate you. But yeah, this is a real topic tonight. Like, they don't want you, but they want to control you. They don't want you, but they don't want nobody else to have you. Men are not the only ones that's guilty for this. Women are the same way. Oh, I was with you for this long. I don't want you. But I just don't want nobody else to have you. Now, we got to be honest. We know that there's a lot of women who say that. Some are delusional and they won't admit it or take any accountability. Some men, the same way, you don't want to take accountability. But I would say this, that ego in these situations is not confidence. Nope. It's like a defense mechanism. You know, that ego or the part of you says, I won't let that happen again. I won't look stupid. I won't be the one who loses. You ever said that to yourself after a bad breakup? See, ego will try to protect your image. But see, confidence, it protects your identity. That's why I tell people, if you are good and your person is checking out on you, let them look goofy. Let them look goofy. For an example, you have some women who don't want you to talk to nobody else. And they'll say, if you don't do this and you don't give me access to this, blah, 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 I'm going to run your name through the mud. I'm going to lie on you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make your life miserable. See, that type of ego that's just their defense mechanism. I won't be the one who loses. See, ego, it literally it protects your image, you know, in this situation. And I tell people, when people are operating from ego, they're trying to protect how they're perceived. A lot of men, you trying to protect how you perceive. You don't want nobody to know she was smashing somebody else. You don't want nobody to know your situation. You don't want nobody, you trying to protect your ego, so you want to keep her close. Make it look like you still in a control. Make it look like you still in power. But in reality, you're not, though. We're talking about control and ego tonight. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about this control in his ego, about why people don't want you, but they want to keep you around. When someone is insecure, they're protecting who they really are. And see, control is different. Yeah, control is different. Ooh-wee. See, You think it's about somebody just wanting to control you, like you gonna do this, and you don't know the psychology behind it. Most of the controls in these situations is fear disguised as power. I'm telling you right now, because people who need control usually feel unsafe internally. They feel unsafe. See, control, it sounds like, I need you to know what you're doing. I need things done my way. I need the upper hand. I need to leave before you leave me. See, a lot of times control is fear trying to prevent that vulnerability. That control, it feels powerful. A lot of times you're afraid. A lot of times that control that you are experiencing is nothing but anxiety on 10. It's anxiety on 10. I'm just breaking this down mentally, psychologically, because a lot of us, we don't have this type of teaching. We don't have this type of training to know, relationships are the hardest thing in this world. This is the hardest thing to actually understand. Like, you asking your homegirl, why do he don't want me, but he wants to control me? A lot of men have a lot of reasons. He may, you have different type of men too. And you have different type of women. Sometimes she may want to control the man because she feels like the man may go out and destroy his life because he's unstable without her. Now, I want to talk on that because there's some people, you might be thinking one way, but there's a lot more ways to this control. There's some women who say they love a man so much and they be like, if I at least give him access, she think that if I can control certain things in his life, he won't just destroy it. But more men think that more than women, because men has that daddy syndrome. Like, especially if you've been married for years, 5, 10, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, he feel like he your daddy. So he feel like before he allow you to do something, he want to feel like he's in charge. He want to feel like you're not going to go out and mess your life up. He has a different type of, and you know what? You that think like that, you have to let go of those thoughts, or it's going to cost you. I just told you what it's going to cost you. It's going to hinder your growth. It's going to hinder your purpose. Instead of you worrying about this woman, you need to be worried about the purpose that God has in your life. Instead of woman, you worrying about this man and how he's going to make it through. So you want to try to control his finances, control his money, control all of this stuff. You got to let it go, because in reality, it's no longer your concern. And if you guys decide to work things out, if you guys decide to still be friends and still have some form of access, it's going to cost you something. So I'm just letting you know this, so you don't go out and think that, that's part of control. They don't want you, but they want to control you. But so, another thing about ego, that's what we're talking about right now. Ego and control. Ego hates losing. Ego doesn't process pain well. So instead of, people saying that really hurt me, an egotistical person to be like, I don't care. You'll regret it. I'm better anyway. You'll never find better. You ain't gonna never be nothing. You ain't gonna be this. You ain't gonna be. See, ego would rather look strong than admit it feels weak. That's why breakups turn into power struggles. It's not about love no more. It's about who won. That ego's something else. Have you ever broke up and you said that you ain't gonna never find nobody better than me? If you ever said that, be honest. This is therapy. Be honest. You ain't gonna never find nobody better than me. If you said that, drop a 100. Cause if you ain't never said that, maybe you're not human. Maybe you really just, I don't know about you. There's some women who be like, you'd never find nobody like me. And the next person, they gonna treat you like trash. They not gonna respect you. It's so many, it's just emotions everywhere. It's not about love no more. No, it's about ego now. My ego would rather look strong than to admit that it's weak right now. And see, these are some of the things that God will show you when you start to learn yourself and you start to have a prayer life, and God will start getting on to you like, why are you talking that way? Why are you cursing them? Why are you doing that? And every time you try to curse somebody with your ego, you better watch out, because that same curse can come right back to you because you're speaking it on somebody else. So you have to watch what you say. It's just the truth. And another thing about control, though, control, it just keeps people from feeling helpless. Nobody wants to feel helpless. Helpless is one of the hardest emotions to really sit with. So instead of feeling like rejected, unchosen, abandoned, or replaced, people would rather just regain control by pulling away first. Acting unbothered. Oh, that don't matter to me. Or keeping access so that they're not fully rejected. And one of the things that people do, when they're trying to control in this same situation that I'm talking about, they'll keep monitoring you. They don't want to feel helpless. See, that type of control, it gives an illusion of stability, even when the emotions is unstable. I just want us to know the truth behind this and really have a really good dialed in mindset to know why somebody's trying to hold on to you. Maybe you trying to hold on to somebody and you don't understand why. See, another thing about ego is a person's ego, I've learned, it blocks accountability. You want to know why that woman ain't accountable? You want to know why that man is not being accountable? A lot of times it's ego. See, ego says, it's afraid to say, I was wrong. Ego is afraid to say that I overreacted. Ego is afraid to say that I hurt you. Because, admitting, this thing's about to turn off on me. So all right, fixed it. I'm serious about this ego, though. Ego really blocks accountability. Because admitting feels like you're losing power. And at the end of the day, I would tell anybody right now, and I want you to comment this. I'm going to say something, and I want you to hear me, and I want you to hear me good, right? Accountability is strength. Please comment this because I want somebody to read this. Accountability is strength. Accountability is strength. I want to see that. Accountability is strength. A lot of us, if we could just take full accountability of the things we've done wrong, will find strength. But when you got an ego and you trying to control the situation, a lot of times you don't see it that way. Sometimes that woman, she can't see what she did wrong because her ego is in the way. She don't want to take accountability when she was wrong. She don't want to take accountability for, getting out of her place. And I know a lot of people hate to hear that sometimes. Sometimes you are out of place. You are out of line. And men, sometimes you out of line too. We're human. And every time somebody get out of their head sometimes. And we all have overreacted, but ego tells us, no, we always right. Ego says, I ain't never hurt you. Ego say you did everything to yourself. That's what ego say. I think that is ridiculous. I really do. And when when I'm on calls with anybody, whether it's male or female, you get on my call and you say things like, I didn't do nothing. And everything just went to the fans. He just went out here and he did this for no reason. Or I went out here and I got my get back and I got this and I did this. And you say this type of stuff and there's no accountability. It's like, dang. That's why when brothers be telling me it was all her fault, I be like, boy, I know you lying. You a whole man around here. You talking about you ain't did nothing wrong. So she went out there and she done went and found her a side dude and you ain't do nothing wrong. This woman, she stopped touching you. She cut you off and you ain't do nothing wrong. I don't know, bro. That's kind of hard to believe for a woman that's so emotional to cut somebody out because somebody didn't do something. Somebody did something. Y'all just not compatible. But we're just going through and I think that I would say control is about managing outcomes of some people. Some people don't want love. They just want a predictable outcome. They don't want no surprises. They don't want no rejections. They don't want no, their emotions, being at risk of more damage. So they try to control the narrative. But I say this, and I'm talking to people who are broken. Love requires some type of surrender. And surrender, it feels unsafe to ego. And you got to really surrender some of the way that you think. It feels unsafe. Some man be like, I don't know if I can agree with that because I don't know if that goes against my masculinity. Some men say, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. Some women say, I don't know if I can do this because I will be giving too much. I'm giving you too much of me now. Whatever the case may be. So a lot of people, they want that control because they want to manage. They want to manage what the outcome is going to be. They want to have a predictable outcome. And a lot of times you can't have anything. And I have to say this. There's nothing wrong with you both agreeing on a predictable outcome. You agreeing on a real separation. You agreeing on mature things. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're trying to control just to manage the outcome with no reasoning behind it for real, just so you don't have to feel surprised or rejected or, you don't have to, come on now. I just rather you surrender. And that's the thing that we don't want to do. See, the hidden fear is things that we just that just cause real anxiety. And I think that there's hidden fear under control and ego. You don't believe me? Fear is like being insignificant. Like, fear is like being replaced. These are some of the thoughts that you have in your mind. Fear is like, I wasn't enough. Fear is like, I'm going to be forgotten. And then that's when that ego come in and be like, I'm above all this. So control be like, I'm just managing this. I'm going to manage this. But underneath, those type of people don't want to feel small. They don't want to feel small. I want to say that control and ego, it ruins good connections. It does. Because real connections, it requires humility. And a lot of people are not going to humble themselves. To have a real connection, to humble yourself. A lot of people don't want to do that. See, real connection, it requires vulnerability. That means that you have to be vulnerable about some things. You have to compromise. It means that you may have to take some emotional risk. The fear of not knowing what's going to happen. I'm just telling you what this is what happens. Control and ego, some of this stuff, it destroys future connections. That control and ego is very very unattractive to a lot of women who have gotten out of abusive relationships. Ego, you just got to know that ego and control. And I hope I gave you enough examples to know that, ego and control is one of the reasons why people still want to stay connected to you after they don't want to be with you. Some people don't lose love because they didn't care. No. They lose it because their ego wouldn't let them compromise. Their ego wouldn't let them be vulnerable. See, there's a real difference. Ego says, I need to win. Maturity says, I need to understand. And control says, I need to manage this. Security says, I can handle whatever happens. So I hope it's starting to click. Why somebody want to keep access to you, but they don't want you. I want to say that this type of behavior, it confuses you. And when access continues, your brain reads it as hope. But access it's not commitment. Hoping without clarity is going to delay your healing. And one of my trainings that I have on my website, markleejr.com, it's a training that I created called Reset After Betrayal. And one of the things I talk about is what destroys hope. What destroys that? What destroys hope is clarity. So I would literally tell you to grab a hold to clarity, because clarity is going to destroy all of that false hope. Clarity shows you the truth. Now, as I come to a close, I just want to ask you a question. Have you ever kept anybody close who have already emotionally moved on? Type yes or no. You kept anybody, close to you after you've already emotionally moved on? Type yes. If you experienced anything that I've talked about tonight, I want you to type yes. Ooh, we got a lot of yeses. We got a lot of yeses. We got a lot of yeses. Wow. Again, we have these therapy sessions Monday through Friday. I started early tonight around 8:30 because I have some things to do tonight that requires my attention. But I wanted to talk about this because this is dear to me. So many of us, we go through these sad moments. And I like to always tell people, if someone has emotionally moved on but still want access to you, you got to decide whether you're healing or holding on. Distance, it brings clarity. And clarity is what sets you free. I ain't talking about you exposing nobody. I'm not talking about you defending yourself. I'm not talking about you, no. I'm talking about you understanding what's happening, as maybe you are the one that's trying to keep the door open, or maybe you are the one that is staying in that door. I'm telling you in this therapy session tonight that it costs something. If this person is not helping you grow and get to the next level. Now, I've seen situations where, even when they was split up, they was able to move better. I've seen that. But that's not most people's situation. And even that is still cost you something. And what are you willing to pay? Are you willing to pay your emotional life? Are you, the rest of your life, you just going to give over to that emotionally? What are you willing to pay? Let me tell you what people are paying right now. Some people are paying their transformation. Some people are paying their next level, their next blessing. They're paying it. God been told you to get away from this person, and you still doing it. You don't want to listen. So it's costing you. Some people it's costing them health. It's costing them peace. It's costing them their own life. It's costing them new relationships. Because nobody want to come into a relationship, man, that is nobody wants to come into a relationship that is complicated. And a person that understands this will tell you, mature wise, like, I don't want to be involved in that because that's too complicated. So you gotta ask yourself, what is it costing you?